it turns out that your brain, when it's inflamed, doesn't work. And all the things that we see as behavioral disorders, as violence, as depression, anxiety, mood disorders, the opioid crisis, turns out that a lot of these things are driven by inflammation in the brain. And what's happening often is that the inflammatory processed diet that we have, the changes in our microbiome because of our diet, because of C-sections, antibiotics, and toxins, and all the things that damage our gut microbiome, because of glyphosate, all that leads to inflammation. And when you have inflammation like that in the body, it disconnects the ancient limbic brain, the reptile brain, the fight or flight response, from the frontal lobe, which is basically the adult in the room, your executive function, your higher self. So when your higher self and your lower self are not talking to each other, when your survival brain and your sort of mature, grown-up brain that makes sure you don't do or say or act in ways that are damaging or harmful to other people, that connection gets weakened or it breaks. And so when you look at, for example, diet studies in prisons or in juvenile detention centers, it's so impressive because simply swapping out healthy food, an anti-inflammatory diet for an inflammatory diet in prisons cuts violent crime by 56%. If you had a multivitamin, by 80%. In juvenile detention centers, these kids are violent. 91% reduction in violent behavior, 75% reduction in restraints, 100% reduction in suicide rates in this group, which is the third leading cause of death in adolescent males, and you reduce it by 100% simply by changing the diet. Why does it work? It works because it cools off the inflammation in the brain. It's causing a disconnect between people's ability to have executive function, to have the grown-up in the room, to have the higher self show up and say, gee, maybe I shouldn't punch this person, or maybe I shouldn't cut them, or maybe I shouldn't shoot them, or, maybe I shouldn't be in this violent oppositional life. And I think, I don't know how much it's contributed to the divisiveness in our society from the food, but I think it's way more than we think.